stuff and things. Did I?
Set the restream to the right again.
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Yeah. We should be.
Yeah, there we go. Live.
Should be live. Okay, there we go. Great. Hey, everybody. Welcome to a special little video that we're going to be doing live today. You see, our friends over at Acer Africa sent us their Predator Triton 500 laptop a little while ago, and they asked us to take a look at it live on camera, but I'm going to go through the just kind of overview of the Triton 500, as well as we're going to try to overclock this puppy as best as we can and potentially, maybe, possibly get into the top scores on 3D Mark for some of the overclocking results for this particular GPU setup, which is an RTX 2080 Max Q. So I'm excited. This is actually a pretty good laptop. I'm really glad that Acer sent it over to us. And I'm just going to go over the main specs quickly before I unplug the laptop. So you might want to pull it off the camera. I unplugged the laptop, so you might want to pull the signal. So one of the main things about the laptop is just how thin it is, my friends. Look at this. This is sporting an i7-8750H. It has an RTX 2080 Max Q, has two 512 gig NVMe drives running in RAID 0 for about 3 gigabytes write and 3 gigabytes read. I think it's 3.7 write, or 3.7 read and 3.1 write. And then also has 16 gigs of RAM running at 2,667 megahertz. And then on top of that, even though it has all of the gaming specs that you would want, the panel is also pretty fantastic. 1080p, 15-inch, 144 hertz, and as you can see, the screen-to-body ratio is 81%. The bezels around everything are super thin. This thing is freaking amazing. But that, unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look at it, is not the point of today's video. The point of today's video is we're going to try to get the maximum performance out of this that we can. Jason, could you switch over to the laptop cam, please? So we're running a i7-8750H in this thing with an RTX 2080 Max Q. And if we just go ahead onto the 3D Mark website and we look at Time Spy results, what we find is that somebody has a ridiculously high score of 9,213. Which is crazy because at stock, I'm hitting less than 8,000 on this thing. So I want to go ahead and just run everything on stock while we talk about. Give me a second. Is it? There we go. And let's open up 3D Mark. One of the main reasons why we're going to try to overclock this laptop is that laptops typically don't have that much overclocking potential. Even with this one, the CPU is locked down because it's not one of the special HK CPUs. It's just an i7-8750H. So there's nothing in the BIOS that I can do with that. However, that doesn't mean that we don't have any headroom left on the CPU to gain some extra performance. And that's primarily because, especially in thin laptops like this, you make a trade-off. You either get really great performance or you try to make sure that thermals are in check and you downclock the performance. So what we're going to try to do in this live stream is overcome that limitation by getting rid, as much as we possibly can, of the thermal limitations on the CPU and the GPU. And I think I have Afterburner running with Riva Tuner, so we should be able to see all of the statistics in the top left-hand corner on this. So we're gonna run it stock so that we can see what base performance is like. And then after that, what we're going to do is we're going to put it on this laptop cooler over here to just see what type of increased performance we can get by adding some fans into this thing. And then finally, the best case scenario of what we're going to do, we have 4 bowls of ice chilling in the freezer right now. We're going to bring those out. We're going to put a bowl of ice under each of the 4 fans on this laptop cooler right here and hopefully introduce some really cool air into this Triton 500 and see what's the best possible score that we can get on this thing. And also we can overclock the GPU. While we can't overclock the 8750H, we can use MSI Afterburner to just kind of overclock the 2080 Max Q. So that's basically what the plan is for today and everything that we're going to be doing. So as you can see right now, we're running at about 1300 megahertz, which for 2080 isn't that great. Like this is pretty low, but you can see the thermals are pretty good. 65 degrees Celsius on the GPU, about 70 to 75 degrees Celsius on the CPU, which I mean, that's running at about 4 gigahertz, which this isn't bad for a laptop situation, but it can be better as soon as we get some cooling into it. And also you can see that the processor is only running at about like 25 to 30%. So as soon as the load on the processor is going to go up, we'll see better performance on that. Okay. So we're just waiting on that to happen. And again, this laptop performs pretty gosh dang decently. You can see it right now, 60 degrees Celsius on the GPU, about 65 degrees Celsius on the CPU, and this is in a normal gaming load. GPU is maxed out, CPU is running between 20 and 30 FPS, or 20 and 30%. So in a normal gaming scenario, the Triton 500 does pretty good, but we're going to try to put it to its limits, and we're just running a stock benchmark right now of TimeSpy to see how things go. Okay, let me see what we've got in the chat while I go ahead and wait on this. For this price, I can buy a PC with the 2080 Ti and i90-90-100K, but can you get a screen with that price? Can you get, well, a decent screen? But then also, like, yes, laptops, gaming laptops especially, are more expensive, but you're getting portability. That's one of the main things. We could bring this with us anywhere in the world. It fits in a backpack. It's actually a pretty decent machine for whatever you need to do. Even in the tightest form factor computer case that we've been able to build in, which was the Dr. Zaber Sentry 2.0, that thing still takes up most of a backpack. Like, we did the world's ultimate portable gaming setup, and it's still ridiculous to carry around. Like, it's a good solid, what, like 5 kgs plus, and then you have this thing which is like 2 kgs. It's not anywhere comparable. Okay, so we're finishing up the CPU benchmark. As you can see, we dropped down to about 3.7 gigahertz. The CPU is running at about 83 degrees Celsius, and we'll get the score right here. Sonamoves, thank you so much for the Twitch sub. 10 months at tier 3. That is crazy. Thank you so much, my friend. All right, we're getting the first result now. 7,465 total, 7,924 on the graphics, and then 5,622 on the CPU. So as I mentioned, that's just stock. What we're going to do now is we're going to introduce some fans. We got this gigantic fan cooler for laptops. Should fit just properly right here. Put that down, plug it in. Okay, that should be on. Then we're also going to turn the fan speed to 100%. I'm going to move it a bit further away from me so I don't have to hear the fan noise, because that's going to be quite loud. Okay, now we're just going to go ahead and go again, but now with actual active cooling on everything. Fans running at 100%. Fan cooler under it running at 100% as well, and trying to get the best just thermal reduction that we can to elevate the clocks on both the CPU and the GPU. Yes, this is the 8th gen CPU, so this is the i7-8750H that's in this Triton 500. Just carry your 50 pounds of ATX system in a backpack. That's a genius idea. Why didn't I think of that? I need a rucksack for carrying my entire tower with me. We have the flight case for the N3 Elite case. We could just carry that and wear that on our backs like pack mules.
Just add straps.
Yes, it's genius. Okay, so the temperatures are actually looking quite decent. We're at 50 degrees right now at the beginning, running over 1,400 megahertz. It was towards the end of this run that we saw it drop below 1,300, but the clocks are definitely doing better right now, 53 degrees Celsius, and we're staying in the high 1,300s. So we've gained about 100 megahertz just from introducing some more cooling. Obviously, it's a bit louder. I'm not sure how much of the fans you guys can hear. Are they coming through? The fan speed, the fan noise, is that coming through? Okay. Low hum, yeah. So the temperature in the room right now is a good like 21 degrees Celsius. So we're about 30 to 40 degrees over ambient. But even towards the end of this benchmark, look at that. We're running at 1400 megahertz on the actual setup, which is quite good. Quite good, but not as good as we can possibly get it. That's a lot of hertz. That's right. I'm expecting that we'll probably see about a, I don't know, 5% increase just from introducing the fans to get the clock speed a little better. And then we'll calculate what else we can do, because we can still overclock the GPU. But we're also a really far cry off from what the #1 spot on TimeSpy is. I'm pretty sure if we can get the temperatures down low enough, we might be able to get something resembling a straight desktop clock here. Like I'm looking to hopefully get this thing to say about 1600 megahertz instead of the 1400 megahertz that it's been indicating. Okay, now we're on to the CPU tests. We'll see how this goes. Did you run the lower third at any point? No. Okay, we'll do it the next time we're back on the A cam. What's the GPU? It's an RTX 2080 Max Q. Okay, you can see we're at the low 80 degree mark for the CPU. Ooh, that's getting rough. 86. Yikes. Still staying at 3.9 gigahertz though. Drop down to 3.6, 3.4. You can see it's limiting the clocks right there. Okay, great. So 7,813 is the total score. That is a 400-point increase just from introducing fan cooling into this. So that would give us, that's a 4.6% increase just by throwing the fan speed in there. GPU score went up. Just doing the calculations. GPU score went up 2.4%, but the CPU score is up nearly 800 points, which is fantastic. Yeah, we're up 14% on the CPU score just by introducing the fans. Dang. Okay, Reese, can you bring me the bowls? Thank you. Okay, so now is the attempt at the screen. So you can see right here the attempt at the stream. So you can see right here we have a score of 7,813 points. The top score on TimeSpy with this same processor and this same graphics card is 9,213, which is crazy because it's a non-overclockable processor and the GPU doesn't really have that much motion. So we have an i7-8750H and a 2080 Max Q. So we've increased the score pretty decently. And then we're going to introduce better cooling right now. And then once we're done with better cooling, we're going to switch over to overclocking this puppy. All right, you can switch to the A cam. And we just want to remind you guys that Acer Africa is the one who sponsored this stream. Jason created a little lower third that we wanted to show off. So there you go. Look at that. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's amazing. So we're waiting on our friend Reese to grab everything from the freezer so that we can actually put some liquid metal on it. I thought about doing that, but Acer, if you go to our review of this laptop, the Triton 500, what you'll see is that they have like covered every, like it's a crazy setup. Here we go.
Bottom of this bowl's broken. That's why there's a cloth.
Really? Oh, dang, the bowl broke. Amazing. Okay. Because it froze through? Or did you drop it? Dang. Cool. Okay, so as I mentioned, the ambient temperature in this room is about 20 degrees Celsius.
You would have thought that the
These are at minus 20 degrees Celsius.
My hands are freezing.
His hands are freezing. So we have one for each of the fans on the, oh geez, this is gonna be crazy. We have one for each of the fans on the laptop cooler. Oh, this is hard with the, okay, there we go. Let's get each of the ice bowls up in here. We're introducing minus 20 degrees Celsius on each of the fans to hopefully get some better cooling up in here. So let me pull this off and just make sure that the everything's positioned appropriately. Okay, let's, take the kickstand down, lay it flat. That cool air is definitely coming up. Okay, let's see what the temperature of the air coming through is. All right, so we're looking, so the air that's coming through right now is about at like 4 degrees. Dang. Yeah, it's noticeably cooler coming through. Love it. Oh, that is so much cooler that way. Perfect. Okay, so now we are ready to go ahead and move on with the next benchmark. So 7,800, I need to take a picture of that so I remember. No, there it is. Let me take a picture anyways. Let's see what we can get with some better active cooling up in here with these ice bowls. All right, we're ready to go. Dang, we broke a bowl. Rip. Can everybody press F in the chat for the bowl that broke? Makes me sad. Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have an air conditioner. Obviously, that would help with blowing really cold air across it. Breaking your bowl does suck. I'm sad. There we go. The GPU's starting out pretty dang cold. The clock's high 14s, mid to high 14s. Getting a much better clock speed this time. We haven't dropped below 14 yet. CPU staying at 45 degrees-ish. Not really ramping up in temperature. This model is the 16512 or the 32 1 terabyte. It's actually a 16 1 terabyte, so it's neither of those. Oh, there's the first drop below 1400 megahertz. Yo, Brett, is this faster than my GTX 860M laptop? Probably a little bit. So right now, I actually don't think the ice is the limiting factor. I think it's how much like convection we're getting off of the ice into the cooler to actually like have the cold air come through. What? We paid good money for them beautiful blue locks. You're right. Here's my mohawk from the charity stream. There you go. Yeah, there's no 16 gigabyte, 1 terabyte model on the Acer site, but it's the one that they sent us. So I can show it to you after we're done with the benchmarks. Okay, the next stupid thing that we could do is we could put the bowls on top of the cooler and then put the laptop on top of the bowls to see if that changes thermal performance at all. Because we're kind of limiting how much the cold bowl weather can get up to the laptop. What are good temps for a laptop? Anything less than 100 degrees, to be honest. No, usually if you're below like 80 to 90 on a gaming laptop, you're doing all right. All right, now on to the CPU test. The exhaust is staying noticeably cool as well. Oh, we're not even hitting 80 degrees. Dang. So we're seeing a solid 5-degree difference on the CPU. Okay, now it's posting past 80, but it was hitting 80 way earlier previously. Okay, let's see what the score is this time. Last time we did 7.8. Are we over 8,000? We are not. Dang. That was a minimal performance. We lost some on the CPU. The GPU was about 100 points higher, though. Okay, so let's change the order of this operation. Let's not have this in between the bowls. Are you good? Let's have the CPU cooler blow the cold air from the bowls upwards onto the laptop. And then just put the laptop on the bowls. This is the best I can do without like actually modifying the actual laptop itself. Which, to be fair, I'm not against. It's just I don't want to do that right now. Okay, so that might be significantly cooler for this setup. Okay, let's try it this time with this really dumb setup. The only thing I'm slightly concerned about, which I'm sure some of you are as well, is just any sort of condensation getting on the bottom of the laptop. But we'll see how it goes. Okay, let's start again. Undervolt the CPU, you're not really able to on laptops. This one has no options for that in the BIOS. Oh, I'm hearing some cracking. Love it. 40 degrees, 1455. And one of the big things about the Max-Q GPUs that NVIDIA has is that they really, really try to downclock hard when it comes to thermal performance. So any attempt to make sure that your Max-Q laptop is cooler will definitely always result in better performance because of how aggressive they are on downclocking. Yeah, I could use XTU. We can try that after we get the GPU settled in. So I can't tweak the voltage on the GPU. It's locked down. But I can try to install XTU and see what happens there. After this, I just want to make sure there's no condensation coming on the bottom of the laptop. I don't think there should be. Oh. Can you get me paper towel? Please. Okay, let's see what the performance is like. Did we crack 8,000 this time? Nope. Okay. We're at diminishing returns here. We did get 100 points higher though. So we're not looking too terrible. Again, 100 points on the GPU, but then an extra 50 points. How do we get 100 extra points? Till XTU. Let's see what we can do here. Yeah, no condensation building up on the bottom of the laptop, so we're good there. Thank you, sir. All right, let's get XTU installed and see what we can do as far as undervolting this thing. Just don't want the water to leak out from the cracked bowl. Okay. I have to restart the computer. All right, you can switch back to the A cam. So we're going to restart the computer, get XTU installed, and see what we can do as far as... yeah, we're allowed to open up the laptop, but go check out our review of the Triton 500. Yikes. If you look at the underside of the laptop, they have like put glue down everywhere. So it's not an easy thing to actually get to the... what's it called? To get to... Oh, what am I trying to say? Hold on. 1 second. I'm just trying to get some better airflow under the laptop cooler by raising it up a scooch. There we go. There's that. Let's open up XTU. Yeah, getting any sort of like liquid metal in this thing would be more of a mission than it's actually worth at this point. Like, one of the ways that they actually got this thing so thin was from the fact that they custom did everything. Okay, core voltage offset. How much can we... Not an entire volt, that's for sure. Turbo boost power max? Unlimited. That sounds good. Power time window. Let's go unlimited on that. What else do they have besides default? I don't want to go higher on voltage. Probably go down 0.125 volts easily. Let's see, can we increase this at all? Let's just increase that. Let's increase all the power. All right. Okay, we underclocked by 0.125. Now let's see what we can get. 3D Mark, come on. No, what the heck? Go away. Library, 3D Mark, launch. We also need to open up Afterburner and Riva Tuner. Just Make sure they're all open. Yep, we're good there. All right, let's run another one. See what we can get from undervolting the CPU while also increasing all of the power limits. So the CPU clock seems to be about the same, 3.9 gigahertz. But the temperature is definitely lower at 45 degrees. We're staying at 47 degrees on the CPU or GPU. That's not too bad, and about 50 to 52 on the CPU. This isn't terrible. We'll have to see if there's any performance increase, though. I think after this, I'm going to pull up the review that we did on this laptop just so I can show you guys how complicated the underside of this thing is instead of unscrewing it right now, because that would be a mission and a half. It doesn't really look like we're getting that much better GPU clocks right now. The temps are great. 50 degrees Celsius is fine. CPU is fine. The ice is slightly starting to condensate on the outside of the bowl, but for the most part, it's fine. Obviously, the better scenario would be putting ice directly on everything, but that's not going to happen. I don't want to break this thing. You can't upgrade CPU on a normal laptop? What? I'm confused. Oh, we're below 70 degrees on the CPU now. Undervolting did some excellent stuff there. But we're also at a lower percentage utilization. Okay, 70 degrees Celsius. This is going pretty well. Okay, let's see what we got here. 7977. That is our best so far. So we increased 300 points on the CPU, and we increased about 120 on the GPU. I want to see if we can just underclock it a bit more. What am I doing? Advanced tuning. Where is everything? Core? There we go. Let's maybe go 0.15. Cache. That's fine. Other. That's all fine. Great. Here, let me just pull up the YouTube video of This thing is getting noticeably cool to the touch on the bottom. Let's see, UFD Tech, Triton 500. Live stream right there. Ads. Stupid ads. Ads all the time. Skip ads. Nope, go away. Okay, where in the video? That's the ad spots. Okay, there's the bottom of the laptop. Oof. It is not bright, I'll tell you that. Let's see. So we did open the bottom of this thing up. What you can see is that there are 3 fans. You have one right here, and right here. But all of it is taped down. You can't see the heat pipes. You can't see nothing. So I'd have to rip up all of this padding just to get to the actual the coolers. And I'm pretty sure the motherboard's installed upside down, so I'd have to remove the motherboard physically and then get to everything, which is not what I want to do on this setup. Okay, so we've undervolted the CPU. Let's go ahead and also, let's just go away. Nobody asked you. Let's go ahead and overclock the GPU. We should be able to get 500 extra megahertz pretty easily on the memory clock and probably an easy 100 megahertz on the graphics card. And again, I'm freaking confused at the results from the Max-Q that people have gotten. Look at this score, 9,213. We haven't even broken 8,000 yet. It's crazy. This person got, what was their score? 9,876 on the graphics, which is 1,700 more than us, and then 6,600 on the CPU, which is less than us. So all we need to do, is increase our GPU score by a heckin' ton, and then we'll be good. So let's go ahead and try to do that now. I don't think I put 5,000 on. Yeah, I did 500. Great. That should be enough. Okay, I just want to make sure. Yep, still no condensation, but the ice is melting. And it's kind of seeping through the paper towel that I've put down. At least on the one that's cracked on the bottom. Oh boy. That is something. There we go. Oh boy. There we go. 1,500 megahertz. There we go. That is slightly better. And we're still only at like 40 degrees Celsius. This is crazy good. Okay, but after this run, I'll show you guys the issue that I have with overclocking these things. "45 degrees Celsius and everything's running as hot as possible." That's crazy good. Obviously, this isn't really a real world use case, but I love it. I'm pretty sure we should be able to break 8,000 with this one. We only needed 23 more points. Temps are still doing pretty good. We undervolted the CPU, so that's helping. Yeah, it's on chilled air. And for anybody who's just tuning in, we're trying to get the best overclock that we can possibly get on this Acer Predator Triton 500. It's running an i7 8750H Max-Q. or i7-8750H for the processor, and an RTX 2080 Max-Q. Has 16 gigabytes of RAM at 2667, and then has a 1 terabyte RAID 0 NVMe drive because it's two 512 gigs. And then obviously super thin, super portable, amazing screen, 1080p, 144 hertz, 3 millisecond response time, IPS. Is gorgeous. The CPU is performing still pretty well. I haven't really noticed a drop there at all. And the undervolting definitely seems to have helped with the temperature. So good recommendation on that one, guys. All right, we're under 70 degrees towards the end of this time spy run, and the clock speeds are just sticking at 3.9. That is doing pretty dang good. I don't think we're going to get much better on that CPU score. That's better than the number one score for the Max-Q. So 8.2, dang. 8.2, we have hit over 800. We're doing better. So the number one score has a CPU score of 6677. We're at 6719. So we have a better score than the top Time Spy score for the same combo. But the issue that you have with this freaking Max-Q GPU is that, if I can get to it, the clock speeds. So what we see here is that towards the end, when it has no load, it peaks 1965. Even though we're not seeing that anywhere in gaming performance, it peaks at 1965. So if I try to set the core clock way too high, what'll happen is it'll actually try to run at, let's say, 2.1 gigahertz, but then it's going to crash because it can't run 2.1 gigahertz, even if it's not actually running that during the game. So we have this weird issue where it's going to spike and kind of flatline our performance. But the highest we got was 1965. If we add 50 megahertz to that, we should be able to get somewhere around, I mean, that would put us at 2015, which a 2080 should be able to do that. Yeah, it's power throttling, and unfortunately, there's no way that I can figure out without modifying anything to remove that at this point. But we'll see if this overclock sticks. We might get our best score yet, or we might crash. It's 50-50. Yeah, we crashed. So we don't have an extra 50 megahertz there. Yikes. Okay. That should just reset. There we go. All right, let's see if we can get an extra 25. So let's go to 125. Yeah, and you can see it tried to hit 2040. Why? 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 That was never going to happen. You're not going to run at 2040. You're going to run at 1500. Max-Q GPUs are crazy, friends. No, we can't access the voltage. It's locked down. All right, let's see if we can actually start this one. There we go. Okay, so that's further than we got on the last one. Yeah, we're still in the mid 1500s for GPU clock. I don't think that's going to get us anywhere near the top score. And we're not even going to finish the run. Lame. That's okay, though. I think I'll go down to 110 and then try to increase the memory clock to 600. See what we can get there. Are you dead now? It looks like it's dead. All right. Well, we crashed it completely. Switch. Yeah, we crashed the laptop completely. So let's reset it. And we'll go for maybe a couple more runs. We're not going to have too much longer before the ice really starts to melt here. Okay, let's get MSI pulled up. We need XTU pulled up as well. Riva tuner. Okay, I don't care. Go away. Yeah, we need to drop the core voltage. Why won't you let me drop? Oh, core voltage offset. Here we go. That's what I'm looking for. We were good at 0.15. That did pretty well. All right, everything's good there. Let's go for 110 on the core and then go for 600 on the memory. Go away, Spotify. All right. Software. What are we doing here? There we go. Okay. So our last completed run. What? Dang it. Okay. Our last completed run was about 8,200 points. Yeah, we need to be forcing more cold air into this. But we don't have more powerful ways of doing that just yet. In the winter, I use a dryer vent with a couple 120 millimeter fans pulling minus 10 degrees Fahrenheit into my case. Same concept, but yeah, basically. The more common way that I've seen this done is people get like an air conditioner, portable air conditioner set up, and then they just like kind of duct it into the laptop. Or not laptop, most people do this for a computer. Okay, it looks like we're stable at 110 with an extra 600 megahertz on the memory, which is an effective 1.2 gigahertz overclock. All right, this looks a lot more stable than it was last time. I think we crashed earlier than this, so we should be fine. And in case anybody wasn't here for the beginning, what we have is 4 bowls of ice set up on a laptop cooler that's blowing the cold air up into the intakes on the gaming laptop of the Predator Triton 500 to try to reduce temperatures as much as possible to get the best possible gaming that we can. Yeah, it looks about 1,500 megahertz is really the limit of what the laptop can do at this point. We're not really going to get much more out of that. We could potentially get more out of the memory, but I don't think it's going to give us the extra 1,000 points that we need. Because it's also not the temperature that's really limiting us, because we've seen our temperature plummet to like 40 to 50 degrees Celsius, but we haven't seen that big of an increase on the GPU side. So it seems like we're running into a power limit rather than a temperature limit on the Max-Q. So the only way to do any better than this would be somehow to remove the temperature limit that might be on here, or the power limit. Okay, so this should be our last run. 110 megahertz seem to be really stable. 600 megahertz extra on the memory clock. I'm gonna guess we're gonna be in the 8,300 region, which should be good enough to put us in the top 200. The only thing I'll have to figure out is how to potentially remove whatever limit we're actually experiencing on this max Q. But also the top score on the 2080 max Q is like a good 400 points higher than the second closest competitor. Like, it's not even close at the #1 spot. Whoever actually got #1 with this did a freaking amazing job. Okay, let's see what we get here. Oh, all right, we got 8,300 points. There we go. That's actually not too bad. So if we look at the top score, 9,200, we're still a far cry off from that. 8,300 points puts us not even in the top 50. Not even in the top 100. Let's see. Yeah, see, all the scores are pretty tight here, but towards the higher end, it's not. 8,306. So we'd be like 175th right now with this setup, which isn't great. Shame. I'm just confused because you can see the performance difference between #1 and #2 is huge, but then between #2 and #3, it's not so big. Like, everything is within a couple hundred points here, but there's a 400 point jump for this dude. He figured out something crazy with his Max Q GPU right there. So not too bad. Maybe a BIOS flash. I would have to figure out how to do that, which we're not going to right now, but I'm pretty impressed. We got an extra 110 megahertz on the core clock. We got an extra 600 megahertz on the memory clock, and we had a better CPU score than the highest class guy. So, like, our CPU score is a 6,804, and this dude's running a 6,677. So we did better at CPU than the #1 score, which is pretty great. I'll settle on that. Even if we didn't win overall, we won in something. Okay, I'm also going to get these ice bowls off of the table. All right, well, so we want to conclude this stream by, again, thanking Acer Africa for sponsoring the Triton 500 for us to take a look at. They are the reason why we could even do this stream in the first place. So if you guys are interested in the Triton 500 or any of the other Acer notebooks that you might find out, you can go to the links that are in the video description. Did you play the lower third? Look at the lower third. Jason does a great job at that. Big thanks to Acer Africa, again, for sponsoring this live stream. We much appreciate it. Big thanks to you guys for tuning in. But that's going to be the end of our laptop overclocking adventures. We can maybe look at revisiting this sometime in the near future with a better plan and a more reasonable way of potentially unlocking the power limit or the voltage limit that the GPU might be running into, because it's definitely not a temperature limit. We solved the temperature issue, but there's something else that's limiting our 2080 Max Q that we ran into here, which this is good research for me to do tonight, because I'm gonna be looking into this a bit more. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. We will see you in the next video, and love you too. Bye.